afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. We are now in mid-December. It is December 14th. The days are getting shorter, but we don't care because Topic Time is getting brighter and longer than ever before. I got another double Zoomer tonight. Second one in history. First one was back in the spring to New York, right from here in Area 58. Tonight, I got two guys from the biggest little state in the Union, Rhode Island, although one of them is in California, Buddy and Sam here. The one up top, that Sam looks like Max Headroom. That's Buddy on the bottom there with the big, thick whiskers there. But before we get to them, got to be these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. We don't have a lot, but they're all great, so we read them off. So we get Pals Driving School in Middleborough, taking students for January, February, and April of 2023. They're educating driving for Middleborough, Mass and vicinity. We got Tom Otto in Middleborough. We get Carver Jewelers right here in the building in Carver, Ronald Diamond, Lyle Delano, Goldsmiths. We got New England Floorscapes in Middleborough. We got good old Dave's Automotive right down the street, up the street, I should say, in Hanson on Route 58 right here. We got Pembroke Radiator in Pembroke. We got Crazy Axes Rec Center in Hanover. We got Pacini's Pizza in Middleborough. They deliver. We got Genuine's Inspection in Middleborough. We got the Gun Runner LLC in Middleborough, your Second Amendment Freedom Store. We got the law offices of Cahalan and Stefani in Brockton, specializing in personal injury and workman's comp law. We got DNS Auto Works in Abington, collision specialist, and we got Ocean Street Auto Repair and Service in Marshfield. And I want to thank you guys very much. And now, like I said, I'll introduce these two gentlemen, humorous podcasters, Buddy and Sam. The gentleman up top on the left is Buddy, is correct. It looks like Max Headroom. And
I'm Buddy.
Yeah. The one in the mob. That's always funny when I mistake the guests when they have two guests. Okay, that'll be one for the blooper reel. We don't mind. We love it. Okay. All right. Well, I think Buddy set the interview up, and that's you, right? And which one? You both nodded. Which one is Buddy? Put your hand up.
Yeah, I'm Buddy. I actually have some.
So you set the interview up. Okay, Buddy. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right. You're in Rhode Island right now, and Sam's in California. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna profile both of you. We'll start the conversation with you, Buddy, because you're the one who set the interview up. So tell me a little about yourself. You just told me some information that you began the podcast April Fool's Day of 2020, when everyone else was sort of in hibernation, fearing the virus, obviously, as was I at that time. So tell me about yourself growing up, where you grew up, and then how it led to you starting this podcast. And then Sam, feel free to interact, and then I'll start getting questions on your end as well. So go ahead, start you, Buddy, if you would, please.
So Sam and I have been friends since we were in second grade. Okay. And we've been a fan of making people laugh, but mostly making each other laugh since we were kids. So the pandemic hit, we were bored. Our jobs were pretty stressful during the day, our day jobs, and we needed an outlet. We needed a hobby. We needed something to get out and get that creativity out. So we created the WDUM, and it was kind of based off of a bunch of ideas that we had. We needed that outlet, and having a podcast where it's audio, theater of the mind. We started the snowball, pushed it down a hill, and we started to get traction with, maybe not a ton of listeners, but some decent guests that we find really interesting. A big part of the show is prank phone calls. We've always been fans of prank calls since we were kids. Like you said, grew up in New.
Yeah, was Mr. Wall there? You have any walls? And what's holding up your house, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's holding up your house? Sometimes I call places and tell them I'm driving a Jack Daniel's truck and that it spilled over and some of the whiskey got into their septic system. So I need to hear them flush their toilet.
Oh, yeah.
Because whiskey has a different flush point than water. So you can hear it over the phone.
And that, it's funny you're talking about toilet flushing. I've never brought this up on my show, but I figured, what's the problem with it? I mean, it's real life. We all do it. They say that, I heard it on the radio yesterday, that when you flush the toilet, you should keep the seat down because the germs from, right, they spray off into the air. And I posted on Facebook, what's wrong with a little fertilizer enrichment in our lives? People thought it was pretty funny. So I figured I might run that by you guys. All right.
Hey, it plumes, right? It's like a smoke bomb. It goes off.
Exactly. I usually don't close my seat before I flush. I want to make sure it's all gone first.
Yeah. I don't usually close the seat cover. Sometimes, actually, since I read that news story about how it can make the bathroom smell worse too. Then I started closing the toilet lid. That was a major part of my upbringing.
Oh, toilets. Cool. Me too. All right. All right, Sam. I want to hear you a little from you. Talk about you. You guys grew up in what part of you both grew up in Rhode Island, right? Together in the same town.
Little town called Blunder.
Yeah.
Blunder, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, if
Is
it's
it
in
spelled like
a,
it sounds? Blunder?
it's a neighbor. I
That's
don't know if
right.
you've ever heard of Situate.
Oh, Situate, yes, but not. Is
It's
that like
it's
it's a
a
part of
it's a little
Situate?
like little township in Situate.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, because a lot of towns have these little subtext areas too. I know. Yeah, like Norton, Massachusetts has Chartley,
Mhm.
Yep.
and that'll. I mean, where I live in Brockton, Mass, we have the north side is Montello, the south side is Campello. So yeah, I know how that works. Right? But if, unless you live in those cities or towns, you don't usually know of those little subtexts. Well, all right. So tell me
Yeah.
about yourself, Sam. Tell me you grew up there and what was your deal growing up?
Oh yeah, so you know, as you probably gathered, Buddy and I have a lot of Blunder pride. You know, just
Okay.
try to stay true to our roots. We talked about this a little bit before we aired. You asked me about my position as mayor of Blunder.
Yeah, yeah.
So as Buddy said, it's just a township, so it's mostly a ceremonial position. And I was relatively young for the role. This was a few years ago, but
Yep.
you know, I was able to establish a couple of you know, political connections. And some say that I wasn't the best mayor at the I wasn't best at the position. Some have accused me of corruption, which I think is very unfair. And you know, I think that just speaks to
Well,
today's-
hold on, back up a second. Why? First of all, your audio is a little low. If you want to raise it, try to raise it. Secondly, okay.
How about now?
So yeah, it's better. It went up to a good level for 3 seconds, and then it went down again. So just whatever
Gotcha.
you do to keep it up it would be great. Well,
Sure,
tell me,
sure.
how did you get appointed mayor of Blunder? I mean, I love the name Blunder. I wonder how they came up with the name. That's crazy in and of itself. I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely the name suits the town. I mean, I don't know if I can't speak for the rest of New England, but we've got some crazy characters around here, and that sort of inspired us to.
The mic, your audio's going low again. Bring it up. Keep your hand on it if you have to.
How are we doing now?
That's fine. Just keep it if you can keep it like that, that would be great.
Sure. Okay. So
Yeah,
I'll start
perfect.
again. So yeah, I can't speak for the rest of New England, but Blunder is definitely a big source of the inspiration.
You're getting low again. I hear you, but you're going
Damn it.
low. You got to keep that.
Let's see. I'm keeping it right in front of my face. How about now? Maybe.
Yeah, now it sounds great. But
Okay.
I know it's
I'll try-
not. Okay.
Okay. Let's see how this goes. So yeah, Blunder. A lot of crazy characters live around here, so that was a big source of inspiration for our show WDUM. And there's a position where I noticed one day a few years ago that hey, we're looking for elections for mayor is coming up, and I was like, mayor. I didn't even know that we would have a mayor position. And I was like, you know what? I'd got nothing better to do. I was just living with my mom at the time, and I was like, you know what? She keeps encouraging me to make something of myself, so might as well just give it a shot. And so it was kind of like a landslide victory, to be honest. There wasn't a whole lot of competition, but yeah. So a few years later, I unfortunately lost the previous election. So I've been helping Buddy full time with WDUM since then.
Okay. Well, so you actually enrolled. You enlisted as a candidate. You win by a landslide. You were in for like 3 years. And then this is like one of the coolest political stories since Watergate, which you probably won't even around to remember because it was in the 70s. But wow. Okay.
We referred to it as Blundergate, but it was only
that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, we only referred to it as it was only a 2-year term. And when I say I won in a landslide victory, I only won there was only like 20 people total voted, and I won, but I got 17 of the votes. You know, a lot of friends and family helped out. Like I said, it wasn't an enormous amount of power in the position, as you can.
You hold the mic back. You sounded good. Now it went down again.
How we doing?
Higher.
How about now?
A little better. Just keep.
Okay, gotcha. I really don't know what's making this. When you can't hear me, I'm not sure why, because I'm
Right
just
there
doing the
sounds
same thing.
good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, buddy, tell me about you. You was campaign manager during that run that he had.
So I wasn't his campaign manager because I was working at the station. So we did a little. We had sent out some tapes to some of the local radio stations because we actually used to have a public access show ourselves back in the day on PATV 18 here in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And we did a sketch show, and we always wanted to transition that into some type of an audio format. So while Sam was running for mayor, I was kind of doing the podcast and just helping him out from that
Okay.
side. So I wasn't really involved with his campaign, but he would come on the show and talk, which was awesome for the show because some of his supporters would come on and listen or call in with questions. We have a gentleman that's very close to the show named Waylon Wilford Woods, who's going through some health problems right now. I want to shout him out
Okay.
just because he's been a big financial backer for us with the equipment that we have. My nice furry microphone, Sam's
Right.
mic and he's been a big help to us. So I wanted to shout him out. So meeting him was a big part of all this, bringing the studio together. And then when Sam ended his term, when he wasn't reelected, he joined the studio full time, and we've been able to do this, pretty
Okay.
much whenever we want.
The PAT, was that Pawtucket by any chance?
It was actually based out of the CCRI campus.
Oh,
PATV
okay. Yeah,
18, yeah.
Right. Okay. So that's not in Pawtucket. That's somewhere else.
Yeah, it was it was actually in, I believe, Lincoln, Rhode Island.
Lincoln. Got it. Okay. I've been by there
Yeah.
before. All right.
It was cool. So we would make the DVD. I'd have to drop the DVD off every Thursday morning to the guys at Public Access, and they'd play it. Believe it or not, once in a great while, the show is still on in reruns, and we haven't done an episode since like 2009.
Okay. Wow. That's a while. Jeez.
Yeah, they'll play it randomly.
Yeah, I understand. Sometimes that happens. Did you
Yeah.
both were you a student at CCRI? Both of you, either of you guys or both? One of you?
I was.
Okay.
A couple classes here and there.
Okay. What did you guys major in at CCRI?
I majored in social work.
Okay. What did you major in? Nothing. I just did a couple of classes.
Sure, I just did some communication stuff, and then I kind of dropped off. And being the mayor, responsibilities kind of took over at that point.
What exactly were those responsibilities? I see. That's why I'd be so overwhelmed trying to run for political office and then winning the election, because then I wouldn't know what to do afterwards. Like having a date with a beautiful girl, you wouldn't know what to do. I wouldn't. Well,
Sure, mostly making a garbage collection, making sure that our garbage men were adequately following their routes, and I took it upon myself to curate as much political favor with other surrounding townships. And that's when I started to be accused of, Buddy remembers this and could, maybe shed some more information on this, but
go ahead.
that's when sorry.
Some of the,
Well,
a lot of Sam's foibles were kind of maybe not the way Sam wanted, but they were documented on WDUM, because sometimes he came into the show when he was supposed to be maybe at an event, or he was kind of slacking off a little bit. I hope it's okay I say that, Sam, but you were showing up at the studio, I think, more often than, because we always wanted to do this. This was what we wanted to do.
Exactly. And a big part of the job, a lot of these naysayers who accuse me of slacking, as you put it, which I still disagree with, I was still able to function and complete my duties as mayor while I was, helping you run the podcast. Sometimes I was able to give, important shout outs to, citizens of Blunder who needed
announcements.
It. So, exactly. Yeah. So.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
How exactly did you say you were in office for 4 years? 4 years as a mayor of Blunder?
2 years.
2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you learned a lot. Let's face it, you're not going to please everybody. That's why politics is a tough game, especially the way the
No, you're
country is
not.
now.
Yeah, correct. I will say it was definitely a hell of a experience, a once in a lifetime opportunity. Definitely something for the resume.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure where I would be, qualified now. I'm chipping away at some IT courses. Maybe I'm trying to eventually. My dream job is to someday work for Amazon or SpaceX, but they're not really. If they're impressed with the mayor experience, they're not showing it.
Well, it's okay, because listen, at least you're not in the slammer for anything like Buddy Cianci was.
Yeah.
Speaking of a famous Rhode Island mayor, he's probably the most famous and infamous at the same time.
Famous broadcaster too.
He's a great broadcaster, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but he said he had a good time in the slam. It was more like Club Med. I used to hear him say on WPRO.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What did he call it? A something resort.
Club Red. I don't know. Something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Well, the Italian
I-
community in Rhode Island is honored. They're pretty much revered above all else, and that's the way it should be. I don't know why, but are you guys
Well,
Italian either? Of
you shouted out. I'm Italian. You shouted out. You shouted out some pizza places, and I think we can both
Uncle
agree we're from
Tony's,
New England.
I hear the ads all the time on WSNE.
Uncle Tony's. You go there, best chicken parm you've ever had. It's
Except
the
I'm a
best
vegan.
chicken parm in the world. You're
Okay.
vegan?
I am. That's okay.
Eggplant with some marinara sauce. Delicious.
Well, marinaro's a snail, so I'd have to hold the marinara sauce.
They'll make it for you with just a red sauce, but I'm telling you, man, it's
I
fantastic.
did. Yeah, I'd have the red sauce. I wouldn't
Yeah.
have the marinara sauce.
But don't you agree? In New England, I think we have better pizza, like New York pizza. Keep it. Chicago.
Well, like New Haven. They say New Haven has great pizza.
They got to come to Rhode Island or Mass and try that.
Oh, I know. We got great
Way better.
pizza here. I actually
Yeah,
haven't
I
had pizza. I actually haven't had pizza in 24 years because I
Wow.
love pizza, but I'm in a very kind of a strict diet and I love what I eat, but
Wow.
I just haven't gone to a pizzeria in a long time. But I have
And
other
I haven't had pizza in 24 seconds.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. And
Too much of
you
it.
have a beer going on. All right. Are you guys college students currently at all? Either of you?
I am
No.
not. I'm not a student.
Okay. So you both right now you're doing this podcast and
Mhm.
you're and what other kinds of gigs you got going on? I mean, you say you're comedic and you seem very comedic. Do you do any stand up stuff at clubs or any of that stuff or anything like that or anything on the radio besides the podcast? Have you ever been on PRO or any of the Providence TV stations?
Yeah, I used to do a couple open mics for a few years back in Rhode Island. Not currently doing any sort of stand up as it is, but it was a great learning experience, learning how to write jokes that way. And as of now, I'm just doing some, besides helping Buddy, I'm just doing some odds and ends sort of jobs that I can find, whatever I can find on Craigslist, really. So, just sort of like manual grunt labor.
Right. Well, you can't help it. You can't really do that when you're 3,000 miles apart, although it certainly helps to have this, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. I'm like, just to clarify for your listeners, I'm only in California. I'm just visiting some extended family.
Oh, I know that. I know
Yeah.
that. But well, now have you guys ever done anything else in entertainment? Have you done music at all? Have you played sports? Either of you?
Yeah, played very little football in high school. Played baseball and football growing up in like little league and stuff. And then when I turned 15, my parents said you can either I wasn't in the mood to play any sports or join anything after school. I was kind of just hanging around with Sam, making jokes. My
Mhm.
parents were like, you have to find something to do, either play a sport or get a job. And I was like, let me make some money. So I went out and
Get a
got my
sport and
first
have
job.
it be a job, right?
That would be nice.
Yeah, of course.
Maybe a
Well,
pro
listen, I'm
wrestler or
wondering.
something.
I'm thinking, I'm looking at you two guys. I was thinking, have you ever done anything musical? Played instruments, sang, anything like
Yeah,
that?
I play the bass guitar.
Okay. I'm thinking
And
when you guys
Sam's actually a pretty accomplished tambourinist.
Yeah. Well, listen to this. I'm thinking I always try to give advice to my guests that I believe will behoove them down the line if they choose to accept it. I think you guys would be pretty good doing like musical comedies. I mean, like creating your own
Thank you.
little like jingles and going around and performing them. Maybe out late in the summer out in Newport beaches and stuff like that. I bet you get a lot of people throwing cash your way.
We
And
would
then
love
maybe
to
at
do
some
that.
point
We
you'd
have
probably
some parody songs on the show
Yes,
too, and
that's exactly what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
definitely.
But he's definitely more so the musical genius of the WDUM. I'm more, like Buddy mentioned, I can barely play the tambourine or the triangle. That all the musical stuff would all the musical side projects would definitely go towards him.
Yeah, I know, but you're a team. I mean, you get you yin and yang. You got to figure out how to make it. You got to make it gel. You got
Well,
One
sir,
thing
there-
we're trying to work on hopefully this summer is we want to do a WDUM live show that's
Right.
going to incorporate some music, maybe some stand-up comedy if we have some comics, because we're actually pretty locked into we have a relationship with a band in Rhode Island. They've been around for like 30 plus years called Vague Perception.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy Bomber, who is their lead singer, he's been on the show a ton of times, and we found him through Craigslist, and he became a regular caller on the show. We've done whole episodes around him.
Okay.
And we've gone to his shows and done some WDUM stuff there. So we're hoping to incorporate all that together into like a live event experience, at some point.
Okay. I understand now. Now, in terms of like your podcast, how many people do you think you've had on over the years since you've been doing it?
Oof, how many unique guests? I think we're up to like maybe 15, 20, because there are a couple, it's hard to remember the first ones when you're first starting out because they were just, for lack of a better term, they were just so normal. Very, very nice, very nice people. Maybe like they were just like, comedians that we'd find online. But then as we started to make the show more and more our own, we just the guests that we found, I would call them Craigslist people. They just got stranger and stranger and stranger. And our network, the network of WDUM, just grew and grew.
Right. So you want them strange.
So what's
Yeah,
that?
it was
Okay. All right. Well,
one
why
of
don't you
the people that we found on Craigslist. We've actually been able to. So we found this person named Misty on Craigslist too, and
woman?
she had a post out. She's a woman.
Sweet.
She's been on our show a ton. WDUM on any podcast feed you have, you'll be able to find it. She was looking for a band. She posted on Craigslist that she was looking for a band. So I responded to her and I said, I don't have a band for you, but I have a podcast you can come on and advertise that you're looking for a band. And she came on. She was actually involved in a murder investigation in New Orleans. So yeah, there's her name's Misty McKelvey. You can find the news footage online. She worked at a bar for her whole life, and the owner of the bar was murdered. And she was interviewed for that. And she's been an amazing member of the show. So we had this other guy named Percy Crum that used to do a music segment every week. It was called Percy's Eye on Rock and Roll. And we had a little tiff with him. He was kind of like the third member of WDUM, but he actually did some voiceover work for McDonald's.
Oh, okay. Like right. McDonald's. Okay.
Yeah, he did an ad for them on the radio, and he kind of it's a little awkward to talk about. He lied to us, and we had to part ways. So she actually was we met her on Craigslist. So she comes on the show now and took over Percy's music segment.
Okay. It seems to me you seem like you met everybody on Craigslist except me. Except
you. You met you on WATP.
WATP. Yeah, I don't do Craigslist. I hear too many. I don't mind weird people, but I hear that there are some unsavory characters on Craigslist too.
It gets very strange sometimes.
It does. Yeah, I would. Yeah. I mean, I'm perfectly happy reaching out to people on Facebook now, even though you guys aren't on Facebook, because of people that are, the connections, grow and grow anyway. But maybe I'd like to get Misty on my show. She sounds like she's quite
she would be down for that. Yeah.
And she would be a great guest. She's got a crazy life story. She has a beautiful singing voice. She's sang on our podcast a few times. We have our holiday. Well, whenever you want us to let us plug stuff at the end or whatever.
Oh yeah.
We have a
definitely.
holiday show coming up next week. Misty sings a few Christmas songs on that, which is going to be a blast. She's sung on the show many times. She's a great guest. Ton of stories, some crazy stories too.
Attractive girl, I assume.
She is.
Oh yeah.
She gets a lot of male attention.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And she's got some more right now. I'll definitely reach out to her. But you guys, what I'm going to ask you to do is to pass the word along after we finish up.
Absolutely.
Of course, yeah.
And then Sam actually found another person. Misty's not the only person that we've had on the show as a long-term member. Sam, you want to talk about Sydney a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So a lot of the we were talking about the strange characters that we see on met on Craigslist, but to be honest, a lot of the weird characters we met strictly through prank phone calls through people that we developed a strong bond with. And it's hard to imagine, because like as strange as Craigslist can get, it can only, the sort of people who agree.
Move your mic up again.
How about that?
A little better. Keep a little higher.
Any good? And is this any
better.
good?
Yes.
Okay. So where was I? So yeah, the people, Craigslist characters can be, it can be out there for sure. But what might be even stranger is the people who agree to be on a show after you develop a bond with them over a prank call. So Sydney was one of these people. This was a prank call that I did. I called a pet store in Alabama. I think the original premise was.
Keep moving that mic. It's still going down.
How about now?
Yeah, it's fine. Just stay.
Okay. Hopefully, I mean, like this thing is like right in front of my mouth. I don't know.
I know.
So the original premise was when I called Sydney was I was gonna see if their pet store would be willing to barter goldfish for guinea pigs or something like that. Not the best premise. We were just being silly. And so while Sydney was talking to her boss in the background, we could hear her boss.
Keep moving that mic.
How about now? Any,
Yeah,
any
it's fine.
better?
Keep it right up to your face. I seen you. I know what your mouth looks like.
I mean, it's like
we're
right
in the
this,
final
right?
5 minutes anyway, so just,
Gotcha.
Yeah, that sounds the best.
okay.
Okay. So yeah, Sydney was getting yelled at by her boss, and I wanted to I told her that that wasn't cool. I thought he was being a dick to her.
Okay.
So we were able to bond over that, and we exchanged contact information, kept in touch over the next few months that followed. And so at one point she was on the show for long enough that we found out that she told us that she was getting married. So,
Okay.
and we were able to find a way to, we actually asked her if we could be present at her wedding, because we felt like we were included in each other's lives at this point. And she said, yes, she would love to have us. We were very excited. And since then, she decided they ran into personal financial issues, unfortunately. So they had to scale back the wedding a bit. So it's just going to be a town hall ceremony. And so originally at one point in time, the wedding was just going to be her, him, and Buddy and I. Just the four.
We were going to be the witnesses for her wedding, and we only met through a prank call. She had never seen us before. It's going to be the first time she met us too.
Correct.
Okay. Well, okay. Sometimes people can be more trusting than you give them credit for. I think prank calls are hilarious, but you got to be, sometimes again, you got to be careful. You don't want to freak anyone out too much because you could get in trouble for that. I think the FCC sort of has a hold on the phone company as well as everything else. Well, guys, guess what? We're down to the final 5 minutes. You guys did a fine job. I hope you had fun with me.
Mm-hmm.
A blast.
Okay. So like I said, give a couple of shouts out, and then we'll wrap the show up with my music the way we began it.
You mind if I go first, Sam?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. I would like to shout out to my wife, Sweetie. I would like to ask everybody to please subscribe to the WDUM wherever you get your podcast. You can send letters to the WDUM show at yahoo.com. We will read those on the air, but please subscribe to that podcast feed. We have a big holiday show coming up next week. We also have a YouTube page that's got clips of prank calls and stuff if you want to get a little flavor of what we're all about. Sam, anything else?
Just a shout out to all the citizens of Blunder. When I decide to run again, you know who to vote for.
Okay, good. He's the wonder of Blunder. How about that? That'll be
The wonder of Blunder.
That'll be a campaign slogan next time.
All right,
that is his new nickname on the show.
Yeah,
the wonder of Blunder.
Like I said, I give advice to my guests. It'll help them. All right. So,
thanks, Harrison.
Thank you. Yeah. So you guys did a great job. Very colorful dudes. Just give my digits to anybody you think would be great guests for me, and have them contact me. I'm an open book. And on that, and I have one favor to ask. When we wrap the show up, would you stick around and do pictures for Facebook?
Absolutely.
My Chris will take them. All right, folks. Thanks for watching Top of Time. See you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.